The number one question that I get asked on the regular basis is how long should we be invested in crypto before we take profits? And that's not necessarily a crazy easy answer, as technically speaking, I think a lot of us should be invested in crypto for a very long time. I myself have Bitcoin. I'm not even going to be selling in my lifetime. I'm going to be passing on to my children. But if we're talking about this cycle, the bull market top, the question of when you should be taking profits is a very important one. In this video, I'm going to explain to you 5 reasons why I do not believe the end of this bull market happens in the year 2025. That's a controversial answer, but stick around all the way till the end so you understand exactly what my thesis is. And then you can let me know if you agree or disagree. But first, if you enjoy our content, make sure to go ahead and smash that like button, hit subscribe. But first, we got to roll the intro. All right, let's dive into the details here. What are the 5 reasons why I believe 2025 is not going to be the top of the bull market, that we will extend at least into 2026? Reason number 1, Donald Trump just became president, and he's going to be bringing a Bitcoin reserve to the United States. This is very, very bullish. All that money that we owe to other countries, our debt just compiles and compiles and compiles, but he is going to not only take the current Bitcoin holding in the United States, he is going to add to it. The exact number is not necessarily known just yet, but one of the largest holders in the entire world of Bitcoin is the United States government, and he has announced during his presidency he's not selling a single Satoshi. He's only going to add to them and back America's people with it. That is majorly bullish. But that leads me into reason number 2. It's not just Donald Trump in the United States. We are watching countries all around the globe adopt Bitcoin and have talked about making it a global reserve. I'm not just talking about El Salvador way back in 2021. As bullish as that was, El Salvador's economy is not necessarily that large or impactful to the price of any asset that they hold. So it got the ball rolling. I love it. I love what's happening in the rest of South and Central America. A lot of countries on this side of the globe are adopting Bitcoin. But let's look at other places. Let's look at large economies. Japan for a while has already been very bullish on crypto, but they are inching closer and closer towards that ever so coveted Bitcoin reserve that now Trump is doing in the United States. Guess what's even bigger though? China and Russia are both not only warming up to allowing their people to hold Bitcoin in general, but I believe it's only a matter of time before we hear the announcement that those 2 large economies also back their money with Bitcoin. Why is that? Well, we know that they don't like the United States having control with the US dollar. We know they want to go off US dollar for dependency when it comes to trade. Unfortunately, if you look at both the Chinese yuan and the Russian ruble, neither one of them are in position to take over dominance. They're in as much trouble, if not worse, than the US dollar. To beat them, they have to do something bigger, something better. And the only observation is Bitcoin. But they're not going to just come out and say it right now. They're going to slowly, like a way to boil a frog. You don't put the frog in boiling water. You put it in the warm water and then turn the heat up. They're slowly but surely going to release that they will be backing their currencies, backing their governments with Bitcoin. This is massively bullish. By the way, on top of this, we just got word yesterday that Canada's prime minister will be stepping down, a famously anti-crypto prime minister, and all signs lead towards his replacement being extremely pro-crypto. So could we even see our neighbors to the north here in the United States join us in having Bitcoin backing our government and backing our reserves? Something to think about, but this is the second reason why I do believe that we're going to see a lot of money flowing into Bitcoin. But that takes me to number 3. Forget just the governments. Wealth all around the world is investing in Bitcoin in the way of institutions and corporations. Have you heard of the Bitcoin ETF? Oh, yeah, just the fastest growing ETF ever alive. It's backed by some of the largest companies in the world that have the most wealth, and we are just now scratching the surface of how much money will actually flow in from the institutional side. Don't even really need to expound there. There's a lot more institutions that are coming in this year. I don't think 2025 is the year institutions get rid of their Bitcoin. Going into reason number 4, that the crypto markets will not crash in 2025, is that even though there is this thing called a 4-year cycle, I'm going to deal with here in a couple of minutes, The last time we saw a major crash in crypto, it was due to a failing economy. Well, we have a brand new president. Donald Trump is going to be the president starting in 2025, and he will last all the way through the end of 2028. I do think there is a chance that a recession that is probably over needed at the moment in the United States does happen while he's president of the United States. I just don't think it happens in year one. Now, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with me here, and there's signs that people are seeing, and there's stirring in the news that a recession could be coming in 2025. Heck, even Donald Trump recently has said that there's a major problem that the Democrats are going to try to blame him for when there's a recession during his presidency. The details are, though, that whether you like it or not, there are tools the American government has at the moment to hold off recession even more. I think it's very likely we don't see a recession until the year 2027, but I can tell you it more than likely will not be in the year 2025, and I don't believe a top happens either. But now we get into reason number 5. You're going to want to hear this one. It's very complicated, but I'm going to walk you through the reasons. This is the biggest one, that crypto and Bitcoin will not top out in the year 2025. But before we do that, if you enjoy learning about the markets, or maybe this is your first video or second video in the crypto world, if you want to learn how to invest properly, know when to buy, know when to sell, if you want to learn how to invest and trade properly, you're going to want to join the Bros Academy. Check out the link down below today. This is a community of thousands of thriving individuals who are like-minded, just like you, who want to make a lot of money but need some help. Not only do we have trusted professionals in here helping you navigate the markets, we have a big array of different viewers who also have experience in the space who can answer some of your simple or complicated questions. Check out the Bros Academy today. Let's get into reason number 5, the really, really big one, because up to this point, people are probably saying, but Tim, what about the 4-year cycle? That's a good question. Let's start off, for those of you who are newer to crypto, answering the question, what is the 4-year cycle? I'm going to give you a crash course on it. Well, in Bitcoin, there's a proof of work system where we mine or recreate through miners Bitcoin, and there's a halving event that happens every 4 years. What this halving event does is it makes it more difficult to mine Bitcoin. Now, what you also need to know, in case you didn't, is that Bitcoin will never have more than 21 million tokens in existence. Well, the 4-year cycle makes it more difficult every 4 years, cutting the number of coins created in half. So, for example, Bitcoin was started in 2009, and by the year 2012, we had over 10 million tokens, almost half of what would ever exist in the world of Bitcoin. Well, between 2012 and 2016, we only produced another 5.1, or roughly just under a quarter of the total that would be produced. Between 2016 and 2020, we produced another 1.3 million tokens. But between 2024 and 2028, we'll only produce about 650,000 tokens of Bitcoin. That's about 3% of the supply that will ever exist. The whole concept of the 4-year cycle is that it kept getting drastically harder to get new coins. But when you really think about it, the difference between only an additional 1.3 and 0.65, it's not that big of a deal. So whereas in the past, there's a drastic drop in production of Bitcoin, this is the first part of the 4-year cycle where there's not necessarily a drastic cut. But that's just one reason why I believe the 4-year cycle will end. Another reason is just understanding what the markets do when people think they understand what's happening. There's a lot of retail investors or normal investors like you and me who are convinced, based off of the historical 4-year cycle, that we have to end in September or October of 2025. Well, let's really think about this critically. The 4-year cycle, again, every 4 years, you have a top to the markets, really needs to be broken down to understand the logic. First of all, between 2009, the existence of Bitcoin, and the first major bull market top in 2013, you had 4 years between the creation and the first major bull market top. That's nothing. That's just a detail in the markets. Then between 2013 and 2017, we had another 4-year separation between major bull market tops. Well, when something happens twice, it's coincidental, but by no means is any form of a pattern. But then when we had it happen again between 2017 and 2021, all of a sudden, when something happens 3 times, a pattern evolves. And that is the 4-year cycle in a nutshell. If that pattern continues, if retail continues to buy at the lows and sell at the tops every 4 years, then the next top, by that reasoning, would be September, October of 2025. Here's why it won't happen. This is the first cycle that we actually see a repeated pattern that retail investors will heavily think would be the top. That's not going to be so easy, though, because the history of investing shows that institutional buyers love to find reasons to confuse retail and to fake them out of their money. This means they tell you to buy when they really want to sell, and they tell you to sell when they really want to buy. Well, if the 4-year cycle is a thing and retail heavily will respect it and sell at the top of the 4-year cycle, that's the perfect excuse for an asset with very little supply to flow from retail hands into institutional hands and be the great excuse for why people thought they sold the top. It was the 4-year cycle top. Well, let me explain another reason why this is not usually how it works. There's kind of a rhythm of how things flow that says at first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then they join you. Well, guess what? Between 2009 and 2013, nobody knew what crypto was. Nobody knew what Bitcoin was, except for maybe a couple computer nerds here and there. But then between the years 2013 and 2017, people began to take notice of Bitcoin, but it was that joke online money that, yeah, a couple people had been made rich, but suckers who bought in at that point would end up losing all of their wealth. It was the laughingstock of the finance world. Again, they ignore you and then they fight you. But then between 2017 and 2021, something changed. Bitcoin emerged. It was one of the top assets in the world, and institutions and governments began to fight it heavily, saying it was bad for the world, it was bad for the economy, it was bad for the atmosphere in general. And there was a bunch of what we call FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, posted that was mostly lies, but it was discouraging people and especially institutions from investing in the world of crypto. Well, guess what? You fast forward right now as institutions come in, as we have ETFs breaking records at the moment. We have entered the phase from first they fight you to second, they then join you. And when they join, they will do everything within their power to get this very minimal amount of supply away from retail investors and into the hands of the wealthy. That's a story as old as time. The rich try to steal from the poor. Guess what? If you, the retail investor, technically, even if you had $1 million, you are still considered one of the retail investors, the poor investors. If they can convince you that something's going to happen, that you should sell, it's the perfect explanation for you to sell, them to buy, and the bull market continues. What's a great excuse to sell? The end of the 4-year cycle. That's why I think that people are going to get duped. People are going to sell as Bitcoin and crypto continue to climb into 2026. There's a handful of other reasons out there that you might be able to explain why Bitcoin will not end in 2025, but I do believe those are the 5 most pertinent details that every investor should be thinking about when investing in the world of crypto. I want to clarify before I let you go, I'm not saying hold all of your crypto past the 4-year cycle top. In fact, when you're in profit, I heavily encourage you to take some profit from time to time to make sure you're accomplishing the things in your life that you need, the goals that you might have set for yourself. I myself, during this cycle, will be looking to purchase a home. I'm not going to be able to do that and hold all of my crypto. But that being said, I want to be very conscious that even though I sell some of my crypto to accomplish my dreams, I want to stay as heavily invested in this revolutionary asset as possible for the long term. This is how I changed my life and my family's life forever. Just a couple of years ago, I wasn't even considering retirement, just thinking about how do I make sure I don't get kicked out of my current apartment and keep food on the table. But because of crypto and because of its revolutionary take on the world, now all of a sudden I'm in a position where I'm thinking about the future, not just mine, but my family's. And if I give up all of my crypto and give it to the hands of the institutions, it might be too late to create generational wealth after that. So I want to make sure I'm holding a large chunk of my portfolio for the long haul and not giving it up. I encourage you guys to continue to do your own research. Think about this for yourself. Once again, if you want some tips, some tricks, and some insights, make sure to join the Bros Academy today. Link down below. With that said, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash the like, hit subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Adios. Hey there, if you enjoyed this video, don't just smash the like and hit subscribe, but watch another one as well, like this one right here. And if you want to learn more about trading and investing and get more confident along the way, learning with an amazing community, you might want to click this link right there. So go ahead, click them.